Oakland City University employees have not been paid since April, and now some are being vacated from their homes. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jamie French.
And I'm Robinson Miles. Let's get straight to those new developments from Oakland City University. Our Emma Beck joins us after speaking with some employees who will soon have to find a new place to live. Emma?
Well, some employees who rent their homes from the university received a notice this week telling them their lease agreement has been terminated. Online records show OCU owns around 70 properties around the city, many of them houses that are rented by students and faculty year-round. University leaders recently were granted permission from the Board of Trustees to sell these properties. The lease termination notice sent to renters says they must vacate within the next month and return any keys and property to OCU by that time as well. Details are still limited on how many OCU properties are currently up for sale, but as we've previously reported, a few buildings, including the one that houses the Oakland City Police Department, have been up for sale in the last few weeks. Now, OCU administration has previously said they would look into selling their properties to cover the payroll. Employees facing a lease termination tell me it's nearly impossible figuring out how to move out with the lack of pay. Now, we know former employee James Wilder is the latest to file a lawsuit to hopefully claim his missing wages.